Hi there, I'm Peter Millard and this is 10 Minute Workshop, where 10 minutes in the workshop is never 10 minutes wasted. In the workshop this week, well, we're going back to our Festool versus cheap tool series, and in this second set of videos we're going to be discussing the humble orbital sander. That's coming up next. So orbital sanders get a little bit overshadowed, I think, by their random brethren. When they first came out, they were quite a revelation, though. Originally, powered sanders just did that sort of thing, so eventually that would produce a scratch pattern. What an orbital sander did was actually move around, sort of mimicking hand sanding in a way, and a random orbital adds a random element to that as it moves around. Orbital sanders, though, are fantastic for all kinds of different work. They come in typically sheet sizes based around the standard sheet of sandpaper. I was slightly surprised you can still get this in sheets actually. But that sheet is 230 by 280 millimeters. That's an oddball size. It doesn't fit, as far as I can tell, into any of the metric A, B or C sizes. It's not a metric version of a British imperial size. It's not an American US letter or US legal size. It seems to be a size of paper that's unique to the abrasives industry. Now, orbital sanders typically come in half sheet size, so they'll take half a sheet of sandpaper, sometimes quarter sheet, called palm sander sometimes, or alternatively third of a sheet. Again, these are all quite large sizes, and I've got to say my favourite orbital sander, the one I use more than anything, is this guy. It's the Festool RTS 400, and it should come as no surprise that this has its own unique paper size. It's 80 by 130 millimeters. In terms of area, it's actually smaller than the palm sander, the quarter sheet sander. But it packs a reasonable punch. It's small, it's light, it only has a 2 millimeter orbit, so it moves 1 millimeter in each direction as it moves around. But it's still capable of doing some quite serious work, especially because it's so light. It's perfect, I find, for doing drywall, where you're working in front of you all the time, or even working overhead. It has built-in dust collection and a variable speed. And I've got to say, I had one of these from about 2008, and when it started to play up, I bought another one straight away, because there's nothing else quite like this, or so I thought. In fact, when I did a bit of digging around, it turns out that Bosch make one very, very similar. It's the same pad size, 80 by 133. It's small, it's lightweight, it's 1.2 kilos, about 2.6 pounds, exactly the same as the Festool. It's slightly less power. It's 180 watt instead of 200 in this one. The current ones are 250, I believe. And there's no variable speed on this. But the real interesting thing is this sander from Festool, if you buy it with the sustainer and a few extra little accessories with it, is over £300 list price. This one is 119. So what's the difference between them? Well, let's find out. I'm not going to do some sort of great unboxing with this, mostly because I've got to confess, I don't know where the Festool box is anymore. A couple of years ago, you know, it gets lost along the wayside or repurposed. What's in the Bosch, though, it comes in this L box type thing, which is Bosch's version of the sustainer. You get the sander, of course, and a microfilter box thing. You won't worry about that. We'll keep to the extractor. What you do get with the Bosch, which is really useful, is and there are two types of Bosch that you can get. You can get it with a rectangular base, just like this one. You can actually buy it with a square base as well, and they do a delta base for it too. I bought the one called the Multi, which actually gives you which actually sells you all three bases. Very, very useful, very interesting. I was hoping, I've got a little Bosch detail sander, and the pad just kind of unclips from that. I was kind of hoping it would be the same with this. Unfortunately, it's not. You do need a supplied screwdriver. It's a 20 torques, I think. And you just unscrew that, you can change the pads over. So, you know, it's not a click on, click off, 20-second job, but it's only a couple of minutes worth of work as well. Interestingly, in the old Festool, this is an RTS. In the old RT series, you could actually do that. You could swap the base out for a Delta base if you wanted. They stopped doing that when they added the S onto the series, which is a bit unfortunate really. So now if you want a Delta sander and a rectangular from Festool, you've got to buy 2 sanders, which is a bit much. I think that's, yeah, I think we're competing with non-consumption on that one. You buy one or the other, I don't think you're really going to buy both. So as well as the fancy box, the fancy case, you get a thoroughly intimidating 3 sheets of sandpaper that comes with it. A square one for the quarter sheet palm sander, a little rectangular one, and a Delta one for the Delta pad. I've got to say, that's 3 times as many as came with my Festool. As an aside, what is it with tool manufacturers? I mean, how much must it cost them to put a sheet of sandpaper in there? It must be pennies. Why don't they, you know, they make several different types of abrasive that they want us to buy. Why not put a selection in the box? You know, you're paying good money for this stuff. It's that kind of cheapskate penny pinching that really drives me nuts. In a sander that's even of this kind of price, let alone in the Festool sander, I think I got a single sheet of Festool granite abrasive when I bought mine. As I say, I can't lay my hands on the Festool Sustainer. My understanding that the scope of delivery, depending on which one you buy, you either get, there are two versions. They do an REQ Plus and an REQ Basic. They're both variable speed. The Plus comes with a few extra accessories. You get an edge guard in it, so if you're standing up to the edge, you won't butt up against a wall or skirting or whatever. And I think you might get a selection of abrasives with that. You also get a sustainer. If you get the cheap and cheerful version, which is only 30 quid less, you get it in a carton, and I don't think you get the abrasives with it. So, yeah, a little bit underwhelmed by what you get for your money, to be honest. So in terms of handling, how they feel in the hand, they're both very similar actually. The Festool is slightly slimmer. The Bosch is a little bit fatter in the body, but it has this soft grip rubbery feel on top of it, which is really nice. Festool's a little bit slimmer. I find it a little bit more comfortable, but again, that could be just familiarity. The switchgear is well laid out, on-off switch at the front. The Bosch is completely enclosed with a protective membrane, whereas I think Festool have that inside. They have a rubbery sort of thing over the switchgear inside to protect it from dust, and variable speed on the back of the Festool here, which obviously the Bosch doesn't have. But generally speaking, they're both really nice, very, very, very similar in dimensions all round, and I would be perfectly happy using either of them, to be honest. When it comes to dust collection or dust extraction, Bosch have a fairly standard 8-hole pattern to their abrasives, so whilst you can use Bosch's own abrasives, and I will be doing that when we do our tests, you can of course use any third-party abrasive with that. Shockingly, Festool have gone their own way with their abrasives. They have a proprietary hole pattern, so you can't use any old third-party abrasives, although you could use a mesh type abrasive like Abranet. Festool are actually bringing their own granite abrasive finish to a mesh backing later in the year, so I'll be very interested to try that out. If you do use an Abranet type abrasive with this, a mesh type, it's very important that you use a pad protector, because the hook and loop, the Velcro on these pads can get worn away very quickly by the fact that the mesh lets dust through all over, not just through the holes. Now, one of the interesting things is that if you opt for the Bosch Professional G160 1A, the non-multi, so it's just the rectangular pad, you can actually get this for 75 quid. That's pretty amazing. This is, again, maybe if I haven't explained fully about the Festool cheap tool thing, the cheap tool is it isn't supposed to be derisive or derogatory to call something a cheap tool. And I've got to say, this blue Bosch Professional Orbital sander is a cheap tool compared to the Festool, but it's, you know, it's only 75 quid. It's still a very capable professional machine. It's got a 3-year warranty. It's built to be used continuously. It is single speed rather than variable speed, but I find it fascinating to see how Bosch can do that for 75 quid, but the equivalent Festool is 280. I don't know what the difference is going to be in use between them, but I think it's time we had a go at finding out.